The Politics podcast is brought to you, as always, by everybody who supports patreon.com/JURY. Ever since we added all the exclusive content, you guys have supported us on a level that we have never, ever seen before. We are at heights we never imagined we'd be at. And yet, here we are. Folks, if you want an extra headline edition of Politics on Monday and Friday, you can get it exclusively at the $3 level on the Patreon. But we also give you a 3-hour extra podcast on Fridays. Yup, it's the Friday Hype Train. Woo, woo! That is for everybody at patreon.com/JURY. More stuff to come as well. But enough of talking about how we support the show. What do you say we just do the damn thing?
Politics.
Hour late. Doing the show an hour late. It's still gonna be great. Maybe. Self-doubt. Welcome, everybody, to the Justin Robert Young host politics program, the Politics show. We are late an hour. I would like to say that we are late an hour because I could foresee that the James Comey testimony was about to come out, and so therefore I just decided to keep my powder dry so as to give you a fuller idea of We'll get to that in a second. And we are going to give you all the reaction to the James Comey testimony that has already leaked out. Tomorrow will be the actual questioning and his reading of said statement. However, I want to do a few things beforehand, and I want to make an announcement. If you are listening to me right now, there's a good chance that you will have the opportunity to watch me live stream the Comey testimony tomorrow morning. It should be 10 o'clock Eastern time, 7 o'clock Pacific time. Figure out your own time zone. We will be partnering. Politics is partnering with the Daily Dot. They are going to also use us for their Comey testimony. So go ahead and support the Daily Dot. Let them know that you appreciate getting the word out that old Gerbs can live stream with the best of them when it comes to the politics. We want to thank them for helping us out on that, and it will be an extra free podcast for everybody when we are done. It should be a great time. Donald Trump is apparently going to live tweet along with it, and now that we know what is in his testimony, I assume that we're going to get some Trump tweets even now, and even more when he is saying it as it is being carried by all the major networks. So that's that. And we will eventually get to but first, we want to start the politics show the way that we normally would. And that is with our friends who, by the way, poor United Kingdom. Man, they thought that they had the world's attention. They thought that they would be the biggest political story in the world. And yet, now we are even upstaging them now with a random Senate testimony. But I did want to bring this to you guys. This is a very awkward commercial. The The audio is worth it. But I really feel that any and everybody should just go on over. Even if you're not a patron, you can find our show notes on patreon.com/JURY as soon as this goes live. Let me just go ahead and play this for you. Maybe I shouldn't even set it up. Here we go. This is a commercial for the British election. Oh, wait a minute. Here we go.
East Yorkshire. There's a general election on the 8th of June, and I hope...
For audio listeners, a man has just walked out from an open door into what is very obviously his campaign office. Very sparse, some signs on the wall. Walks in, there's somebody working, and now he speaks right to camera in what I might describe as a black blazer with a sky blue tie, white shirt, and gray pants. Let's rejoin him.
Candidate for East Yorkshire. There's a general election on the 8th of June, and I hope if you live in East Yorkshire that you'll vote for me. When you vote in an election, you're doing two things. You're choosing who is your local representative, but you're also choosing a prime minister.
We are 23 seconds into this 51-second video, and right now it is fairly remarkable. In fact, nobody's asking local politicians anywhere in the world to be actors, that they are expected to be charisma bombs, right? The big ones are, and you can kind of expect them a little bit, but these are by and large people who just want to do well by their people. Being very informative, and I would say even very even-handed.
I hope you'll vote for me and support Theresa May. We want a strong and stable government, not a coalition of chaos led by Jeremy Corbyn.
So there we go. He ties himself to the by and large, by the polls, a popular Prime Minister, Theresa May, although those have shaded a little bit closer to her losing the majority, but does the right thing. I'll tell you what, workmanlike performance by Greg Knight. Greg Knight has done a very credible job. So here we go. Let's bring it on home. This is how Greg Knight has decided to end his commercial.
You'll get accountability with conservative delivery. Make sure this time you get it right. Vote for Greg Knight.
But what happens, for those of you who are only listening, is that the camera just pans to the right and slowly zooms in on one of his posters before cross-fading into a graphic of Greg Knight standing with Theresa May in East Yorkshire, and then a JPEG put together by some intern. So amazing. Just one more time with the song.
Make sure this time you get it right.
Vote for Greg Knight. Oh, just the best. Just the absolute best. Before we get into this Comey thing, I just had to do it. Somebody sent this to me, and I was in love with it. I was transfixed with it. Please tell me somebody in this audience is either voting for or against Greg Knight. I want to know, are there any East Yorkshire listeners to the Politics show? Please email in and let me know whether you voted for or against Greg Knight, and as a voter, what you believe. You believe, did that affect your vote in any way? I'm gonna do any kind of focus grouping that I can. So now, surely, we can get into not yet. Not yet. We can't get in to that just yet. We will. We will in a second. Let's first go here. Fired Breitbart reporter now wants charity. So I was kind of attracted to this story because it was an interesting situation. There's a Breitbart reporter that during the London terror attacks, Katie McHugh is her name, she tweeted that there would be no deadly terror attacks in the UK if Muslims didn't live there. So that's problematic. I think we can all agree on that one. You know, anybody who's old enough to remember the IRA, you know, that's something that people think about in the UK. You know, there was that whole violent civil war within the UK, and that was bloody. You know, all you gotta do is listen to a Cranberries song. In your head, they're still fighting with their guns and their bombs. See, like that wasn't about Islam. Katie McHugh needs to learn that the Cranberries weren't singing about Islamic terrorism. They're still fighting. So when TV actor Pej Vahat tried to challenge her by calling her a moron, not exactly taking the high road here, Pej, but I can understand your frustration. She fought back by calling him an Indian. Again, problematic. Katie McHugh was fired from Breitbart News. This is the second firing or a parting of ways that you have seen from Breitbart, which appears to be not immune to the great culling of conservative talent that has happened over the past year since Trump was elected. Among the body count, Bill O'Reilly, Milo, I can't pronounce his last name, and a few others. So, she was fired. And I was looking for a story about this, and I found this one by Betsy Rothstein from the Daily Caller, another conservative outlet. The reason why they're writing about her, aside from the fact that she was fired, is because she has now set up a crowdfunding campaign to cover her medical bills. The first story I saw about this was, I believe, from the Hollywood Reporter, which highlighted a common idea on the internet that this is hypocritical. That if she, who has been outspoken about government-run healthcare, can be against somebody taking care of her bills, why is she indeed now asking for somebody to take care of her bills? And I can understand the confusion, but I found that argument a little specious. I think that there is a huge difference between mandating people pay for your hospital bills, as noble as it might be, and asking for private charity. I think that there is a difference in my mind. So I came to the Daily Caller looking for somebody, somebody to articulate that view. Unfortunately, what I found on the Daily Caller, for me, not unfortunately, fortunately, was something that I valued much more than an otherwise pedantic explanation of why government-run healthcare is different from private charity, which nobody really wants to hear. Instead, it was shade upon shade between conservative outlets. Ew-wee, Rick, we have some cat fighting on the right. So I started reading this. McHugh worked for the Breitbart News for 3 years. She previously worked at the Daily Caller. Ooh, even more. She's an ex-coworker that crossed the line. The journalist is seeking funds because her health depends on it. A Mirror source says she has an urgent health issue that requires serious medical attention on an ongoing basis. She's seeking funds to pay for her health care and other living expenses. McHugh did not return a request for comment. Neither did Breitbart's editor-in-chief, Alex Marlow, or Breitbart's crisis publicist, Chad Wilkinson. That's a nice little shot there, crisis publicist. I'm sure he probably just says publicist on his card. You know, he doesn't say crisis publicist. In fact, Wilkinson said, "Don't expect to get anything from me in the future," despite never giving me anything in the past or present. So the writer has now insinuated herself into the story. She then goes on, "Wilkinson asked me to keep that detail off the record, but since I never agreed to converse with Wilkinson off the record, I'm reporting it. I had asked him about Breitbart's plummeting traffic, which was recently written up in Vanity Fair." She then adds parenthetically, "Just glad to know that Breitbart's crisis communications dude is so stable in a crisis." This writer for the Daily Caller continues to bury Breitbart News by writing, "Breitbart News has never been known for protecting Muslims. Some sample headlines. Number 1, political correctness protects Muslim rape culture. Number 2, the Huffington Post whores for the hijab. And number 3, Silicon Valley startup culture explains why mass Muslim immigration has to stop." So what does Howley think about McHugh asking strangers for money? "I don't know," he said. "That's her business. I don't weigh in on people's business. If you work at Walmart putting inventory on shelves, you don't go around trying to get someone else fired. You mind your own business. You worry about your own aisle. They, Breitbart employees, just have no idea how to get along in the real world. At big league politics, I would not tolerate someone throwing somebody else under the bus. If you don't like somebody else, shut up about it and be happy and have the same privilege." Howley said that his health insurance did not extend beyond his employment at Breitbart. We can go ahead and see how her campaign is doing. Oh, maybe we can't. Maybe she's pulled it down. Oh, maybe Katie McHugh is no longer fundraising. Anywho, I love that. I love it when journalists attack each other. Just because it's like, pull behind the curtain a little bit, especially when you deal with very frustrating people on a regular basis as a reporter. You find yourself internally exercising your restraint muscles and trying to not make yourself a part of the story. But when you're talking intermedia squabbles, the scimitar comes out. It's just like, oh, God, slash them down. Cut them down, all of them. No mercy. And even when they're fighting on the same corner. Because the Daily Caller's like, all right, guess what? One of our founders, Tucker Carlson, has now got the Bill O'Reilly slot on Fox News. Breitbart has done nothing but tear down the, much of the media and Fox News in particular. So how about you get some? If now you've chased off Milo, who was a huge traffic bringer for you, you've become labeled as toxic by many people. So now, suck it. Suck it long, suck it hard. Because we want all those conservative ad buy dollars. So everybody that's being run off by all the advertising, oh, hey, Charmin, Clorox, why don't you come on over here? Come on over to the Daily Caller. We have all that ad space for you. So now, can we finally?
Special forces are in full flight. We're coming by.
Oh yeah.
On the ground.
Oh yeah. We are ready.
We gotta get ready.
Are you ready?
It's gonna be a battle in the NFL tonight.
Wait, I don't know if you're ready.
So get ready.
Are you ready?
I mean, get ready.
For real.
Are you ready?
Comey! A Thursday night testimony. Oh, hashtag are you ready for some Comey. We are gonna do it live. Oh, we are so excited. So pumped. Folks, if you are ready for some Comey, just go ahead and @reply me. Let me know that you are ready for some Comey. And this thing was so boiled over that we weren't able to wait until Thursday. We're gonna do the live coverage. We're gonna blow it out tomorrow morning. But Comey's testimony already spilled out. We will get to that in a second. But first, let's understand why this is such a big deal. It's going to be a circus. A, all the major networks are live with it. B, Donald Trump apparently feels very, 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 very burned by James Comey. Feels that he is a grandstander. Feels that he is not worth it. That he is trying to deliberately submarine and sabotage his presidency. The more conspiratorial among us would say that this is an outright agent of the deep state trying to strangle Donald Trump's push to drain the swamp. That when you drain the swamp, you are talking more so than politicians who rotate in at least on a semi-regular basis. The bureaucrats that live in D.C., regardless of where the party power balance lies, and continues to inflict their nationalist, globalist agenda on the people of the United States of America. These goddamn, I'm sorry for cursing. I know we got a lot of Christian affiliates. I'm just saying that just James Comey's a real son of a bitch. I'm sorry for cursing. I just, every time I start doing squats, I just get so much, and I'm back on the testosterone. I'm just, just think about Comey, and I'm just like, oh, come here, Comey. I just want to twist your ears so hard they fall off. Yeah, I'm going to twist off your ear and make it come off your head like Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, and I'm going to say, you one-eared son of a bitch. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing up Mr. Potato Head. I'm sorry for cursing as well. God damn it, I'm sorry. So yeah, that's what somebody might say about James Comey. Donald Trump's also very frustrated at James Comey, which is why he's decided to fight back. He has decided that he will tweet along with his testimony. This is a story from the Washington Post, as reported by Robert Costa, Ashley Parker, and Philip Rucker. Alone in the White House in recent days, President Trump, frustrated and defiant, has been spoiling for a fight, according to his confidants and associates, glued even more than usual to the cable news show that blares from the televisions in his private living quarters, or from the 60-inch flat screen that he has installed in his cramped study off the Oval Office. He has fumed lately about fake news. Trump has seen that his agenda has stalled in Congress and the courts. He's chafed against the pleas for caution from his lawyers and political advisors, tweeting whatever he wants, whenever he wants. And on Thursday, the president will come screen to screen with the FBI director he fired, James B. Comey, thoughts of whom have consumed, haunted, and antagonized Trump since Comey launched his expanding Russia investigation that the president slammed as a witch hunt. Comey's testimony is a political Super Bowl. A what?
This is our finest hour. Well, sir, this usually takes about 3 hours.
It should take about 3 hours tomorrow. Trump is keen to be a participant rather than just another viewer. Two senior White House officials, including the possibility of taking to Twitter to offer acerbic commentary during the hearing. I wish him luck, the president told reporters on Tuesday, Newt Gingrich weighed in. He's infuriated on a deep gut personal level that the elite media has tolerated the Russia story and praised Comey. Former House Speaker Newt Gingrich said he is not going to let some guy like that smear him without punching him as hard as he can. So Trump will be in full tweet regalia tomorrow. He will be ready to roll. And we will be there for you. But meanwhile, like any spurned relationship, I think we've all been here, right? We've all been in relationships where, things don't work out. And hopefully things between you two are amicable. But sometimes we can agree that sometimes they're not. Sometimes there's jagged edges. And if you are in the same social circle or society or fate seems keen on banging you guys back together in a physical sense, you keep finding yourself in the same places, you got a shared pool of friends, there are certain things that happen. This is universal, not controversial. And one of the things that happens is that right before you're about to see somebody that you used to be with, you just let them know that you haven't exactly been just sitting around, right? No. In fact, I'm glad we're seeing each other because I really don't want to get back together with you. And even if I did, I'm dating somebody else anyway. So Donald Trump announced this morning that Trump is nominated Christopher Wray as James Comey's FBI director replacement. This from Reuters. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Wednesday that he plans to nominate Christopher Wray, a former U.S. Assistant Attorney General under President George W. Bush in private practice, to lead the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He wrote on Twitter, "I'll be nominating Christopher A. Wray, a man of impeccable credentials, to be the new director of the FBI. Details to follow." Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm sure people are going to take it as me being biased, but literally this was the first thought that I had. Was just as soon as Trump started overselling this guy, Christopher A. Wray, as a man of impeccable credentials, the first thought I had was that if I were watching this on television and not on Twitter, or if I'm going to scroll down on Twitter, that the next tweet is going to be somebody saying, "This is Christopher A. Wray," and it would just be a dog in a trench coat. Like, not even standing up like a human, just a dog with like a trench coat just kind of thrown over his shoulders. Like maybe on his hind legs a little bit. So he was like upright, but it was just a dog with a trench coat on him. And it's like, this guy, impeccable credentials, absolute stud. He is going to lead the FBI better than anybody who ever has. Here we go, Christopher A. Wray. And it's just a dog in a trench coat. And he was wearing glasses, but they just fell off. He's just like, all right, Christopher, what's your... And all the people are asking questions. Director Wray. Do you feel like there's a conflict of interest inheriting Comey's Russia investigation? And the dog just kind of walks off. He smells bacon somewhere. And he just walks off as the trench coat slowly just sort of like falls off his back. You know, it just stays there on the on the stage. The dog walks off, trying to go nibble on some loose chicken bits from the White House kitchen. And John Spicer says, well, clearly he's the greatest person ever. That was the first thing I thought of. Just because, Donald Trump overselling your credentials at this point, not for the base, obviously, but for, like, the rest of the media, kind of the kiss of death. I bet you Christopher A. Wray was just sort of like, Director Wray would just be like, I mean, can you just tone it down? Just say, I'm being nominated. That's it. Let the chips fall where they may. At least give me a chance to own up to it instead of being of impeccable credentials. We might actually have a live a picture of Christopher A. Wray. Here we go. Exclusive here to Politicsx. There we go. Christopher A. Wray, a dog in a trench coat. Hey, listen, he might not be a career FBI agent like James Comey is, but he's so much more adorable. You are so adorable. You are such an adorable director of the FBI. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, Pupper. Pupper, Director Pupper. Oh, my God. You're so cute. In all reality, Christopher A. Wray did work in the Justice Department under George W. Bush, but more recently worked in the private practice as the lawyer for Chris Christie in the Bridgegate investigation, which saw a couple of Christie's people wind up going to jail because, as a punitive action to a rival politician, they locked down the George Washington Bridge heading into Jersey. But, Christie stayed out of jail. Christie then ran for president. So, the guy seems like he did his job, right? Kept the guy who was paying his bills out of jail. He's also a good boy. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. Such a good boy. And I literally don't mean this as like he's Trump's lapdog or anything like that, because I don't know him. I tend to think that we read a little bit too much into some of the Trump stuff. I literally just mean it would be great if he was a dog, like a physical dog. And let's just say a great dog, like an amazing dog. Like this dog was the best. Now I sound like Trump actually talking about him if he was a dog. Spicer would come out and say, he's totally not a dog. First and foremost, he's not a dog. He is a director of the FBI that has, as the president said, an impeccable reputation. He is not a dog. 5 seconds later, Trump tweets out, yeah, he's a dog, and he's going to make criminals his bitch. Next day, Spicer, the president used language that is absolutely appropriate to discuss the vile criminals and the element of criminality that pervades the United States of America. It is his right to use that language. Is he a dog now? No, he's not a dog, but the president refers to him. He knows what he means when he calls him a dog. 5 seconds later on Twitter, he's a literal dog. He does it doggy style all the while to criminals. I could probably do this for the next 30 minutes. Anywho. Meanwhile, you've got everybody lining up. Everybody trying to get their story straight. A lot of times these testimonies are more about the ceremony than they are about the news, considering the fact that Comey's testimony has already been released. You would get a sense that that is the case here. All the questions that will be posed will be very, very, very carefully worded by all the senators that are on this panel, as a way for the Republicans to make sure that they are not confused by how this goes. Donald Trump sat down with two of the senators who will be on that panel. We read now from Newsweek. Republican senators and members of the Senate Intelligence Committee will have dinner with President Donald Trump or have already met with him on Tuesday, 2 days before the committee is scheduled to take testimony from former FBI Director James Comey over his discussions with the president and the investigation into the Trump campaign's alleged ties to Russian meddling in last year's election. Who is on this intelligence committee? Well, one of the members is Tom Cotton. And another member, oh man, I wonder who he is. I can't really remember his name. He's the senator from Florida. He actually ran for president and then wound up running for senator again. Could it be Marco? Baila, baila, baila. Yeah, him. John Cornyn of Texas is also scheduled to meet with Trump at 3 p.m. at the White House. They are obviously getting their ducks in a row, probably looking for ways to ask Comey questions that, you know, erodes at his credibility. Come on, ladies. Now let's get in formation, as it were. But we don't have to guess what's in at least his initial testimony because that has already been leaked. Not leaked, published. This happens often. You know, these testimonies are not just kind of off the top of the dome. You know, Comey's not going to come out and just say, like, just freestyle it. He's not just going to have the hit him up beat behind him while he goes and freestyles his relationship with Trump. This is written and rewritten. He wants to make sure that everything is exactly in place because, you know, he is giving official Senate testimony. This is the kind of stuff that if you lie, then you will face the consequences. And by the way, that's going to be one of the questions that Comey gets. Comey has previously been in front of the Senate Intelligence Committee. I think it might be somebody else. I'm pretty sure it's the Senate Intelligence Committee, and was asked whether or not the president has obstructed in this investigation. He said no. So I'm sure that either Cornyn, Cotton, or who? Or who? Marco Rubio. We'll ask him about that. Sorry, it was the House, not the Senate. Yeah. Somebody look that up. I just know he was in front of a committee. They asked him whether or not he was being obstructed, and yet he said no. So either he was not telling the truth then, or he is telling the truth now. If he now, when asked the question, is this obstruction of justice, says yes. That's going to be the line, right? So is it obstruction of justice based on what has been released? And granted, at the point that we are recording this, and I'm trying to keep an eye on Trump's Twitter because I am almost positive that we are going to get some kind of reaction as this is now the biggest thing in the world. We have nothing yet. His last tweet was 7 hours ago. So we have yet to see something from President Trump since Comey's testimony has been released. However, the idea for the Democrats is to get a fired FBI director to say in front of God and country that Donald Trump obstructed justice. They will then hope to spin that into more that if he obstructed justice, then he certainly has something to hide, and that's why this Russia investigation means more now than it ever has. Ninja Steve says he might be saving it for tomorrow. And meanwhile, there has been some legal reaction. Jeffrey Toobin, who is CNN's chief legal analyst, senior legal analyst, he has already said on camera that if this is not obstruction of justice, I don't know what is, and tweets in very, very clear terms here. Comey's statement establishes obstruction of justice by Trump, period. Period. I have not read this. Most of what I have read paints the picture of, I would say, a very awkward and insecure relationship between Donald Trump and James Comey. This is my favorite paragraph so far. This is at a dinner that they had. Apparently, Comey assumed that it was going to be a group dinner. It began with Donald Trump asking for loyalty. Loyalty, loyalty, loyalty. Here we go. We read from the Comey testimony. A few moments later, the president said, "I need loyalty. I expect loyalty. I didn't move, speak, or change my facial expression in any way during the awkward silence that followed. We simply looked at each other in silence. The conversation then moved on, but he returned to the subject near the end of the dinner." Here we go. He then said, "I need loyalty." I replied, "You will always get honesty from me." He paused and then said, "That's what I want. Honest loyalty." I paused and then said, "You will get that from me." As I wrote in the memo I created immediately after the dinner, it is possible that we understood the phrase honest loyalty different, but I decided it wouldn't be productive to push it further. The term honest loyalty has helped end a very awkward conversation, and my explanations had been made clear what he should expect. Then talks about briefing Donald Trump on what we are assuming is that dossier that got leaked about the whole hookers peeing on the bed thing. During the dinner, the president returned to the salacious material I had briefed him on January 6th, as he had done previously, and expressed his disgust for the allegations and strongly denied them. He said he was considering ordering me to investigate the alleged incident to prove it didn't happen. I replied that he should give careful thought because it might create a narrative that we were investigating him personally, which we weren't, and because it was very difficult to prove a negative. He said he would think about it and then asked me to think about it. Folks, I just want to take a moment here. I don't know what you guys are doing in your life. I mean, many of you are watching us live now here on diamondclub.tv or twitch.tv. Many of you are listening to me in your car, on your way to wherever you might go. I just want to let you know that paragraph made me tumescent. If you don't know what tumescent is, look it up and prepared to be grossed out. Because it brings us closer to my favorite outcome. My favorite outcome is that Donald Trump is rung up on obstruction of justice charges for an investigation, for impeding an investigation that would have found him innocent. Like, if we are looking on the grand Plinko board of life, all the different slots that are there, that's the one. And it's tiny. It's not a big slot. I'm hoping for it. Just because it's easily the most funny, right? Like, if there's literally nothing to the Russia stuff at all, absolutely not the case, totally not a thing. But what has happened right here, the fact that Donald Trump was saying, hey, Comey, I think you should investigate the fact that I didn't order those hookers to pee on the bed. He's telling the FBI to do it. And James Comey has to be like, okay, so yes, and we could do that, but then everybody would know that we're looking into it, which would create the idea that we are personally looking into you and that we find these claims credible, which, by the way, we don't. But we can't also say, oh, the president ordered us to look into the fact that he might have paid hookers to pee on a bed. Oh. So basically, Comey is saying that he didn't think any of that shit held water. And the only person who is keen on a further investigation, which would have brought on untold media circusry, is Donald Trump. Man, I don't know about y'all. But all my rowdy friends are here on Thursday morning, folks. We will be live on Twitch.tv. We're partnering with the Daily Dot. So we will be on the Daily Dot's Facebook page. We're going to be on their Twitter. We're going to be any and everywhere we possibly could be, all right? It's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely awesome. And by that point, I'll have read everything, so we can have more to talk about. Till then, though, let's go ahead and take a look at our emails. But my emails! I mean, we could. We could look at my emails. But, I don't know. Maybe between now and the, are you ready for some Comey? Maybe we could unwind a little bit, huh? How about we hit the Gold Club? Yeah. One of those ATL gentlemen's clubs. How about we don't go 5? We don't go 7th heaven, no. We go Georgia 6. Because this, ladies and gentlemen, is a...
Get on the floor if you got that booty.
Dance. This is a WSB-TV landmark poll conducted from May 30th to May 31st with 500 likely voters, a 4.4% margin of error for the Georgia 6th special election. First to the stage, your Republican challenger, former Secretary of State of the state. Her name is Karen Handel. But at 49%, 3 points within the margin of error, he is the 30-year-old Democratic wunderkind, John Laugh Your Ass Off. So there we go, man. It is going to be toit. There in the Georgia 6th. Very, very, very excited for that. They had their debate yesterday, and really all that came out of it was Karen Handel tripping over her words and saying that she was not for a livable wage, which is a mistake by her because she doesn't want to say. Basically, it was John Ossoff saying that he wanted to raise the minimum wage to the point where it was a living wage. And instead of her just saying, I am against raising the minimum wage, she said she was against a livable wage, which, game's the game, homie. We will see whether or not it matters, but that is tight. Within 3 points of the margin of error. I am super pumped, man. We have politics right now. So strong. Politics, strong like bull, strong. Every 2 weeks, strong stories, strong elections, strong special elections. Yes, strong politics. Let's get into our emails. You can write me an email, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Again, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Alec wrote, in general, whatever celebrities... Oh, we asked about when you like celebrities or actors or anybody to mix politics. If there's any etiquette you like in how public figures who are not necessarily literate in these fields, how they express their political opinions. Alec writes, in general, whenever celebrities put themselves on the quote-unquote front lines of any political cause, they tend to A, suck all the attention away from the cause, B, give the cause a bad look because their priorities are skewed, or C, way overinflate their own importance. With Kathy Griffin, it's a little bit of B and C. That would explain why she thought she was doing an edgy, challenging, transgressive thing. Guess what? It ain't none of them things. Strip away the shock value, which is now a dime a dozen, and the only underlying message is, hey, look at me. Look at how much I think Trump sucks. She wasn't really trying to challenge anyone. She was trying to enrage the Trump world while getting brownie points from the liberal press for sticking it to him. I would editorially say, as much as I think that there is merit to the idea that the press is more liberal than conservative and has a tendency to direct their gaze in certain areas more than others, I think probably it would be more the Twitter fam that would give her kudos for sticking it. When instead she got rebukes, she caved. I'm not saying you should never apologize for offending people, just that you shouldn't bother infusing shock value into your work unless you're willing to stand behind it. She clearly had nothing to stand behind. To be honest, I find most comedians, particularly late-night Trump material, to be lazy, uninsightful, and unchallenging. Anyone predisposed not to like Trump already believes that he's an unstatesmanlike buffoon running a reactionary shitshow administration. For those audiences, this material does nothing but inspire comfort and complacency, which is the exact opposite of good political comedy and art. They're flicking pebbles at Goliath and pretending that they're taking his head. Tell you what, Alec, I'm with you. I'm with you on a lot of this. Number one, this has been my rule of thumb on edgy comedy. If you want to do edgy comedy, you have to be there for the conversation if one starts. So if I say something in a comedic routine, or even on one of these podcasts where I'm being a clown, I need to know enough about these subjects that I can have a credible and substantive conversation. So when the yelling starts, I can engage, maybe not with the people that are screaming the loudest, but with the closest person that resonates with those yelling the loudest, and show that this was not just empty calories. I am here to try to open up minds, break down barriers, expand a dialogue. Alec is right. Kathy Griffin wasn't really saying anything about this. She wanted to take an edgy picture so she could high-five her friends. Number two, I agree that a lot of Trump comedy is boring. I told y'all when Trump got elected, we are entering into the juiced ball era of comedy, political comedy specifically, because there's going to be a lot of stuff that is straight garbage that will be peddled as hilarious and amazing and insightful. And I think there's a lot of hilarious, amazing, and insightful stuff out there, but not all of it is. A lot of it's, again, empty calories. David writes, as somebody who leans right, I frequently disagree with the political positions that celebrities espouse. It's their right to do it. If they want to alienate a segment of their fans, it's their prerogative. If they can make an intelligible case for their position, then I don't really have much of a problem with it. When they get all crazy snowflake triggered is when I have to turn them off. If you can't behave like an adult and talk about things rationally, then I'd prefer to hold off when I'm paying for a ticket to your show. As far as I know, gays haven't been rounded up and put into concentration camps. Women aren't being chained to stove. Toxic waste isn't being trucked into Yellowstone. Just like when Obama was elected, women weren't forced to have abortions. We didn't all of a sudden become socialists and your guns weren't taken away. Obama isn't the Antichrist and Trump isn't Hitler. What a dangerous language I had editorially. How dare I thought I voted for the Antichrist and then I voted for Hitler. Allow me to have my vote. It seems like most celebrities are so far up their party's behind that they can't see sunlight. Is it really possible for one party to have a correct position 100% of the time? It seems like most of the celebrity commentary is mean-spirited and not really meant to push an issue, but to tear down the other side. These same celebs get all butthurt when you question their positions and attack their candidate. Of course, everyone that they support farts unicorn dust and has rainbows shine out of their ass. Everything? Does all magic emanate from the butthole? I asked these and other questions in my 6-part series. All right, going forward. Politicians and celebrities are flawed humans, just like the rest of us, but they do put their pantsuits on one leg at a time, and they make mistakes. Don't put either of them on a pedestal and keep the discussion civil. Neither party can be right 100% of the time. Thank you, David. Timothy in North Carolina writes, writing in response to your question about politics and art, I love it. Art's an expression of the human condition and is affected by all external sources. To put limits on what can and can't be addressed is basically turning art into product. I realize that some use music solely as an entertainment proposition, but others use it as a way to share and express humanity. We could use an algorithm to make perfectly pleasant music correct pop songs all day long, but would it challenge or help promote curiosity and growth? Art isn't here to serve you. Artists don't owe you anything. It's a two-way street, and you can decide how to travel or you can get off. If Kanye wants to make clothes you can be in or you can be out, but he in no way owes you another dark, twisted fantasy. And yes, I'm as liberal as I sound, but my hands are still firmly attached to my wrist. Thanks for this show. That's, liberal hand-wringing. Thank you, Timothy in North Carolina. We got great emails on this. Let me just say this. I loved all of these perspectives. Thank you guys so much, because I think that specific topic, like, shut up, stick to music, stick to sports. I don't know why I'm doing a southern voice. Let me do now you fucking asshole. Stick to sports, you fucking asshole. There we go. I did both. Both East Coast stereotypes. It tends to be a very shitty conversation. It's just like, I don't like your political opinion. I like you for this other thing. Stop saying your political opinion. I think all three of these, from different perspectives, were really, 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 really good. And I would like to thank Alec, David, and Timothy for writing in and proving that PX3, the dumbest and smartest show on the internet. Sean wrote in about the Paris climate. Since we get all of our political news from you, I have a question. Could Congress put the U.S. back in the Paris Agreement? Obama got us in without Congress, right? You know what's something that I found out about the Paris thing that I didn't know last week? Is that officially our first chance to get out would be in 2020. It's like days after the election. So guess what? This ain't over. We're going to have the Paris Accords be a part of the 2020 presidential election. Slow clap, life. So good. So good. So good. So good. Joe writes, last week you were responding to a review of your book club and the topic of Hillary's missing emails. A thought crossed my mind. The FBI has the majority of Hillary's emails and probably the majority of her contact list. Why wouldn't the FBI try and subpoena all emails sent to Hillary's email accounts from all of her contacts and attempt to uncover at least some of the missing files? It doesn't really matter. Her response to adversity is the fundamental problem resulting in the mistrust, but that is a damn curiosity. I don't know much about the legality or legal precedent or jurisdictional issues of any and all of that. I do know that from folks that email me that there are people in the FBI that were frustrated with Director Comey that there were not further thought to be normal measures taken in the Clinton investigation. That the Clinton investigation was hamstrung from the moment it started. So, I don't know if that was part of it. I just know that there were some in the FBI. And by the way, hey, here's something that's going to come up a lot tomorrow that has just gotten on my goddamn nerves. All right? I'm gonna look up something so you guys can have a visual punchline. Because I'm sure you guys have read this. And this is from both sides. That James Comey had either lost the faith of the FBI or that everybody in the FBI loves James Comey. So I'm just going to search this here. Let's go ahead and take a look. How many people work in the FBI? According to our most recent accounting, over 35,000 people work at the FBI. 35,000 people. If you have a family of 5 and you ask them for a consensus opinion on somebody who interacts with them on a regular basis, you're probably not going to get a consensus. So why do we believe that at 35,000 plus people that anybody is able to get they all love Comey or they all hate Comey? It's the dumbest thing ever. Of course, there are going to be some people that were frustrated with their boss. Of course, there's going to be some people who are frustrated or who love their boss or believe that he was doing things for the right reason and are loyal to him. The idea that this in any way can be a binary on either side blows me the fuck away. That we repeat it as if it's like, well, I don't know. Our sources say they loved him. Sure, there's 35,000 people. Of course some people loved him. Of course some people hated him. He's the boss. Oh, man. I'm just counting the minutes, man. Counting the minutes. We will be live. We will be live on the Daily Dots Twitch. I'll be hosting it on my channel. Come to my chat room. That's what I'm still going to have up on the screen. It is just going to be for our regulars, but it starts early, homie. 7 o'clock in the morning is when the Comey testimony starts. I will be live 10 minutes before that. I would greatly appreciate it if you guys are going to watch this. Then go ahead and join me, won't you? Because all this other coverage.
ABC's got the most exclusive show. Are you ready for the football?
I don't think they're ready.
A Monday night party? Yes, sir. This is Hank, and my mission is to get this whole thing started.
Oh, I'm ready, Hank.
Get those helmets flashing.
Get your questions ready, because all my rowdy friends are here for testimony. Woo! Woo! All right, ladies and gentlemen. That about wraps it up for us today. We'll be back tomorrow. New podcast tomorrow. Go ahead and email me, theyoungamerican@gmail.com. Music provided by Valesco and Trop Killers. Follow me at Justin R. Young everywhere. Download archived episodes of this show at bonerwars.com. Some shows talk about politics, others talk about politics, still more talk about politics. This is the only show that talks about all three. Hashtag, are you ready for some Comey? I will see you guys tomorrow!
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.